Can you see my sock?
Yes.
It's a nice sock, though. Adds to the cozy bag.
Wait, you can seriously see my sock?
Yeah, because the whole table is in it.
Okay, I'm putting on my shoes.
No,
I
your
can't do
sock
sock.
looks
No.
nice. It looks cozy.
Then don't cross your leg.
Hey Chi Alpha! I'm Bonnie.
And I'm Stevens.
And we are in week 2 of our devotional, and our spiritual discipline this week is confession and self-examination. So Stevens, what comes to your mind when you think about confession?
Okay. When I think about confession, the first thing that I associate with it is like shame and guilt. Those were the things that I felt before I actually knew the purpose and how powerful the discipline of confession actually is.
Yeah, I kind of feel the same way. I remember, especially earlier on in cultivating this discipline, I would get so anxious, and still do sometimes, when I know that I'm about to confess something to someone, and literally the whole day I just feel kind of sick about it. But then after I do, it's always the exact opposite of what I think is going to happen. I think that I'm going to be met with more shame that this person knows like who I really am now. But instead, I'm often met with just grace and love, and that's completely transformative to how I view God.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think one more thing that I would add is that when you do confess, your identity no longer is in that sin, but rather it's found in the love of Jesus and how Jesus sees you. When you experience just the love that person that you're confessing to gives you, or when you confess to Jesus, that's where your identity begins to lie.
So what would you say, so there's that moment where we confess our sin to someone else. What comes after that?
Yeah, so immediately, I think that there is a moment where you are in expectation, right? Like, what is that person going to do? Like, how is that person going to react? And there really, I think, is a moment where you have to just kind of receive what that person is going to do, right? Because you're completely exposed. So it's not like you now, like, when that person begins to love you, or that person begins to forgive you, that you begin to now counter with, but I did this. But now there's a moment in which you receive it. You receive the forgiveness, you receive the love, and that, and only through that do you receive that freedom. Because when you begin to counter it with like, oh, I did this and I did that, you are undercutting the power of the cross, is what I would say, and the power of the gospel. And so immediately when that person gives you forgiveness and gives you a love and gives you affection, you immediately say, the cross is enough. Like, my sin no longer has the power. So when we do the opposite of that, we give power to that sin, because it does give us shame, it does give us guilt. But when we receive the love, then that sin no longer has that power. So,
yeah. No, I really love that aspect of it too, because when I confess a sin in a one-on-one to like my mentor, the first thing that she does is remind me of how I'm forgiven, what you were saying, the power of the cross, all of that jazz. But I think like there's the reality that I don't want to keep sinning. But when I confess that, then I have people who are there to like walk me through that sin, because I receive that forgiveness right away. But sometimes it's hard to completely, turn away. That's more of a journey. And it's really nice to have that accountability. Like, I know this person knows, and I know that they love me, and I know that they're going to keep asking me these questions. And I think that that's something that's super helpful for me.
Yeah. So there is, I think that in confession, you are filled with a lot of hope, a lot of hope, especially when whatever you are confessing, it's hope that that sin no longer has a hold on you, whatever that is. yeah, and the hope in that freedom too.
Yeah. No, that's cool. And I feel like ending on this idea of hope is so great as we go into Holy Week and Easter is coming up, but before that, Good Friday. And just with everything going on, I feel like that message of hope and forgiveness and freedom, it's just really great that we got to reflect on that this week. Yeah, cool.
Cool.
Well, we'll catch you guys back later for our next discipline, which is fasting and prayer. Stay tuned. Who wears shoes inside?
Yeah, but they can't see your socks, right? They can't see.
Yeah, I can.